So you're thinking about making a move to San Diego, but you don't want to be directly in San Diego. I'm Drew Ferris. Today we're going all in on Carlsbad. I'm here in downtown Carlsbad, right next to the state beach. And today we're going to talk about the schools, the demographic, the recreation, and of course, the real estate. And we're going to get after it right now. All right, we are here at the Carlsbad Unified School District. Niche.com gives Carlsbad a A+ rating all around, which is really cool. Not surprised. I wanted just to point out a couple things. One, let's look at the map, okay, and just to see where the Carlsbad School District is in relation to the rest of San Diego. Downtown and La Jolla is right here. Downtown's down here. You can see the rest of San Diego in relation to where Carlsbad is. I also just wanted to highlight a couple things. There are people who end up maybe owning property outside of Carlsbad, maybe in Vista or Escondido or even Rancho Bernardo, areas like that. And they end up putting their home for rent, and they end up renting somewhere here in Carlsbad simply to be in the Carlsbad School District. And even though if they rent their home out for less than what it costs to rent a home here in Carlsbad, they just say, okay, that's the cost of sending my kid to Carlsbad. So as you can see, there's really top ratings here by Niche.com, up and down Carlsbad. Not surprised, okay? But if you scroll down and you see here, you can look at elementary, middle, and high schools in the area. You can look at some proficiency percentages for math and reading. But I wanted to point out another thing here. The student-teacher ratio is 23-1. The national is 17-1. So factor that into your decision here about the Carlsbad schools. But if you look at, like I said, the overall rating is an A. The cost of living is high. It's a D, and the housing is a C-, simply because there is just not a ton of housing opportunities, and it's really crowded. And then we'll get into these stats on the next slide over here. But median household income is around $120,000. Median rent prices, median home value. Okay, you can look here and see some reviews. Okay, of Carlsbad schools on your own. And I can, if you want me to send you this link, let me know. But moving on to the Carlsbad demographics, okay, there's about 115,000 residents in Carlsbad, but there's a couple of them I really wanted to point out, okay. Number one, let's look at the moved, okay. Same house as last year, 85.5%. There's just not a ton of movement, not a ton of people looking to get out of Carlsbad. Maybe within Carlsbad there might be some migration, upsizing and whatnot, but just in terms of leaving, not a lot of people leave. If you look at employment, white collar employees typically, and you look at here, private equity or private companies here is about 2/3 of the workforce here. Household wise, a lot of family households, which I'm not surprised to see. And then households without children, I'm kind of surprised to see that. You see about almost 68.5%, almost 70%. Might be a lot of empty nesters like my parents. They're one of them. And I'm actually thinking in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see a lot of people, older people move out, and we're going to see young families move in. We're already starting to see that, but I really think it's going to pick up here in the next 5 to 10 years. And then here is median income per age. It's another one. Okay, this is one I really wanted to talk about. Home construction by decade, okay? You can see by this graph, between 1970 and really by 2010, okay? So this gap here, this time frame, you saw a lot of new homes being built. And when you look beyond 2010, even to 2010 to 2019, and then even 2020 and beyond, you see a huge drop off, and that really is just the fact that there's just not a lot more space in Carlsbad to build, and in San Diego in general. So you really don't see a ton, of new construction or newer builds, which I think is causing the single-family homes and the current homes to appreciate nicely in the area, because you can only build east, and then once you go so far east, you're no longer in San Diego. You can't go west. You run into the ocean. Okay, obviously. But then you can see here owner-occupied, 61.5% almost versus rent-occupied. I like to see that. That means a lot of people who actually own the home, they live in it rather than rent it out, which is nice. So it's pride of home ownership. You do see people with a mortgage here. which is not surprising. And then some education level, marital status, some other facts about that. And then again, for means of transportation, not a ton of public transportation. I've talked about this in other videos, in the pros and cons video, and I said this in the Carmel Valley. There's just not a lot of public transportation in North County, San Diego. Carlsbad obviously holds true to that. All right, well, I hope this gives you a better outlook of what the schools and demographics are. Happy to answer any questions, and if you guys want these links, happy to share them with you. Thanks again. All right, now stay tuned. Let's head over to the real estate. All right, first up on the tour is 857 Home Avenue. Just went under contract, listed for $2,499,000. It is a 3-bed, 3.5-bath, just under 2,400 square feet. Price per square foot of $1,053. It's a newer build, built in 2020. As you can see through these photos, they're pretty nice, and it does share a pool with the rest of the community. HOA is about $452. And as we go through this video, the next segment of the real estate tours, you're going to see as we get farther east, we're going to see the price per square foot go down a bit, and you get more bang for your buck. And I just wanted to thank you for watching this video thus far. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let YouTube know exactly how much you love this video, because it motivates me every single day to come out with videos every week. And I'll see you at the next stop. All right, next up on our tour is 3605 Ames Place, listed at $1.2 million, 3-bed, 2-bath, just under 1,700 square feet, coming in at a price per square foot of $710. This one's open. Let's go check it out. All right, next up on our stop here is 3325 Rancho Famosa. It is listed as a 6-bedroom, 3-bath, really a 5-bedroom, 3-bath, just over 2,800 square feet, coming in at a list price of around $175. Pricing this at a $616 price per square foot. It's actually open today, so let's go check it out. All right, so next up on the tour is 7317 Golden Star Way. It is a 4-bed, 4-bath, just over 3,200 square feet, coming in at a price of $2,149,000. Price per square foot at $668, which I think is actually a pretty good deal considering the community that we're in. We're in Aviara, and you can see the photos behind me as I pop them up here. It's a gorgeous home, over 3,000 square feet, and this community in Aviara was built in the early 90s, finished up in the early 2000s, I believe. It's one of the only communities that did not get affected by the housing crisis back in 2006, 2008, when that happened, according to Wikipedia. But and I actually kind of believe it, because this community, as I drive through the neighborhood, and you can see the homes, they're gorgeous homes, they're well spaced, they hold their value really, really well. They're right off of the lagoon here, and also the Four Seasons is just around the corner. You have great golf here, and you have, like I mentioned, the lagoon with the hiking trails, and so it's pretty walkable. It's quiet. It's only 30 minutes from downtown San Diego. It's really close to the 5 freeway, and it's not too far from the beach as well. So Aviara, as you can see around me here, is one of my favorite communities. The homes hold their value pretty well here. So if I could afford it, I'd totally live in Aviara. But I wanted to show you guys an upscale neighborhood in Carlsbad. And for those of you looking in from Texas and Oklahoma and maybe the Midwest and Idaho and some other states, you're thinking, wow, these are astronomical values here. But relative to Carlsbad, this is on the pricier end of Carlsbad. So I hope, like I mentioned earlier in this video, that these homes and the real estate tour gives you an idea of what the dynamic of real estate is here in Carlsbad. And if you're making that move to San Diego, specifically Carlsbad, within the next 9 to 90 days, feel free to call, text, email, DM, reach out to me. I would love to be a resource for you. And on to our recreation part of the tour. So for our recreation tour, we're pit stopped here at Poinsettia Park, right here in the heart of Carlsbad. Behind me is one of the biggest turf fields here in Carlsbad, where a lot of soccer games go on, intramural soccer, you have competitive soccer, you also have flag football for boys and girls, you have soccer coaching, all sorts of activities. But as you can see in these photos that I'm about to put up, they have multiple tennis courts, pickleballs, recently been put in. You have a dog park here, you have softball fields, you have baseball fields, a lot of green belts. You have just a ton of places for kids to go to the jungle gym. And on top of all of that, just here at Poinsettia Park, the recreation in total at Carlsbad, you have places like Legoland, you have the beach with beach volleyball, and over at Tamarack and Ponto Beach, you have the K1 speed and trampoline park for kids and for teens, which is really fun, or for all ages. You also have the Omni Resort, which is really cool to go to bring your family there for a pool day, I should say, not the beach. You also have the Carlsbad Lagoon, where you can actually, Bataquitos, you can hike around the lagoon there, which is really fun. And so there's just so many things to do for kids and all ages, really. But if you remember my Carmel Valley all-in video, and I was at the Carmel Valley Community Park, and I talked about how that was kind of like the central hub for all things sports and recreation. This here is probably the biggest park in Carlsbad, and I would say is one of the biggest hubs for all things sports and recreation. And so if you're making that move to Carlsbad and you're wondering, hey, where do I send my kid to soccer practice? This is it. So I'm hoping it gives you an idea about the recreation here in Carlsbad. And wind's blowing my hair a little bit. All right, so on to the next portion of the video. Let's go. So that does it for our Carlsbad tour. Behind me is Blue Water Grill. It's one of the most famous fish houses in all of Carlsbad. And the reason why I'm showing it to you is not only because it's an amazing place to eat, is every time I walk by there, it reminds me of a couple who I met. They walked into my open house and ended up selling them a home. And for a closing gift, I said, hey, what would you want? Give me some ideas. They said, Drew, we don't want anything. We just want time with you, sit down and have dinner. And we ended up at Blue Water Grill and had a lovely evening with them. And every time I walk by that place, it reminds me of them. And thinking about it, you know, it's really close to my heart because I ended up building a great relationship. And I like to think that I make friends for life, you know, through this business, and it's one of the beauties of the business. And I just want to give them a shout out. Thank you guys for working with me and entrusting me with your real estate needs. But it is one of the beautiful things about this business is you end up making friends for life, and I appreciate all my clients out there. But anyways, I also want to thank you guys for watching this video and taking the time out of your day to watch it. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time.